इजराइल में इस वक्त हमारी मौजूदगी है और लगातार ग्राउंड जीरो से एक एक तस्वीर हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। और इस वक्त मैं इजराइल के पार्लियामेंट में मौजूद हूं। तस्वीरें आपको दिखाते हैं इजराइल के पार्लियामेंट में मौजूदा स्थिति क्या है। जब आप पार्लियामेंट के भीतर दाखिल होंगे तो कुछ इस तरह से जगह जगह पर आप देखिए कि बोर्ड लगे हैं और ये वो तमाम लोग हैं जिन्होंने इस पूरे हमले में अपनी जान गंवाई या फिर जो लोग अगवा किए गए। और ऐसी ही तस्वीरें पूरे कॉरिडोर में पार्लियामेंट के आपको देखने को मिलेगी। और लगातार हम देख रहे हैं कि आवाजें उठती रही हैं। पार्लियामेंट में भी इस मुद्दे को उठाया गया है और कहा जा रहा है बार बार कि जिस तरह से हमास ने 7 अक्टूबर को इजराइल पर हमला किया उसके बाद हम हमास का खात्मा करेंगे। लेकिन जी मीडिया को आज ये मौका मिला है पार्लियामेंट के भीतर आने का और यहाँ पर किस तरह की तस्वीर है वो हमने आपको ग्राउंड जीरो से दिखाने की कोशिश की। इस वक्त हमारी मौजूदगी इजराइल के पार्लियामेंट में है और यहाँ पर हमारे साथ इजराइल के सांसद हैं बोaz बिस्मुथ सर। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच फॉर टॉकिंग टू अस। आवर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज what is your take on this entire thing? And people are waiting then when this war will end. What would you like to add?
It's long. It's going to be long. We never hide it from anyone. We said from day one, why is it long? A, because of the Gaza Strip, the way it is. The fact that with humanitarian aid and money that we also supplied the Gazawi people, Hamas terrorist group used it in order to build their tunnels. It's not tunnels, of like metro in France, like subway. This is tunnels of death. This is tunnels of terrorists, which are 4 times the size of the tunnel in Paris. So imagine where our boys are fighting. Don't forget also you're fighting also in an area where you've got civilians and you don't want to hurt civilians. And third, and not less important, our hostages are there.
Yes.
And no one can deny the fact that the idea that you've got your own people, it's your kids, it's your parents, it's your grandfather, it's your daughters that are there, affects the way you do this war. This is why it will be long.
So there are many allegations by people of Gaza that, humanitarian aid is not reaching there and Israel is trying to stop. So what's your reaction on it?
There is no one country in the world that I covered war. Before doing this profession, I sit here in the Israeli parliament. I used to be like you, a journalist. By the way, I loved my profession. I loved it. But there are moments in life where you have to serve the people, and that's what I'm doing today. And I covered war also. I covered the war in Kosovo, I covered the war in Iraq, I covered the war in Afghanistan. I've never seen boys like ours. The way, they are, the way they respect on the country's civilians, and more than that, humanitarian aid that floods into Gaza. More than 20,000 trucks till now. We're at war, a tough war. We have our hostages over there. And that will remind you also another thing, and your spectators must remember. Look at us Israelis. On the 7th of October, in the south of Israel, in our communities, in our little cities, in our kibbutzim over there, not only terrorists came inside, also civilians. Be'eri, you would see knife kitchens. They came, they slaughtered babies, and they took their toys. Yet, I'm helping civilians, because this is how I am, this is Israel. I respect international law, and I also respect humanitarian aid. And another thing, look how many allegations, we were attacked. People said, yes, you attacked Shifa Hospital, you remember at the beginning of the war. And then, I think it was Al Jazeera, I'm not sure. They said, no, it's not true, but they were quoted by everybody. Now again, famine in Gaza, again, lie. So many lies, and why? This is in order not to give us the legitimacy to continue this war, bring back our hostages, and eliminate terrorist entity called Hamas in Gaza.
Last question, sir. When this war started, India was one of the country, our Prime Minister was one of the one who supported you guys and condemned this entire attack. Now, there are many laborers in India who are waiting. Labor work is here and Indians are coming here. Many of laborers are still here. So they are waiting when this when the door will open for them to come here and work.
So first of all, India and their Prime Minister Modi are true friends of Israel. India is a friend. India is a great friend. And we do share the same values, and unfortunately we also share, we suffered from terrorism. I remember I followed them in the terrorist attack. It was very long, if you remember, in Oberoi and in the Taj Mahal. It was long, many hours. And
26/11, yes.
It was really, it was very, very tough. And India leadership cannot permit other terrorist attack. You defend your own nation, your people, and this is exactly what we're doing. Now, concerning workers that come to Israel, on one hand, in Israel, there is war. You can see in the south, in Gaza. Of course, in the north, you have a cycle of violence in order not to say a war, but it's tough and rough what's happening in the north. Yet you can see Israel still, tries and succeeds in continuing life as much as we can. War will not be eternal. It's going to be long, but not eternal. President Macron spoke about 10 years in order to eradicate Hamas from Gaza. No. Israel can do it. We don't need 9 months like Americans in Mosul, but we don't also need 10 years like President Macron has said. I do expect something like around 1 year, and we shall obtain our objectives, and our Indian friends will come and work in our country and share with us the pleasure of this amazing country that is Israel.
So last question, how is the relationship with Iran?
Well, Iran, I mean, you know, I always make the difference between culture, amazing poets, Hafez, Saadi, Omar Khayyam with his Rubaiyat. My God, I mean, what a culture. And they were hijacked by those Ayatollah, by those, how would I say, by those murderers, by those terrorists. Unfortunately, it's a revolutionary regime. Revolution never ends. And this is why when people signed the agreement, the nuclear agreement with Iran, I was against. Why? Because you sign it, because in fact, by signing this agreement on the 14th of July 2015 in Vienna, you recognize this horrific regime that today, when we're at war with Hamas, we're at war, I mean, we're in cycle of violence with Hezbollah, the Houthi are attacking us, the militia in Iraq. What do they have all in common? Their godfather is Iran. And this is the dreadful neighbor that we have. Again, as I said before, not amazing cities like Shiraz, like Isfahan, like Kashan, which I appreciate so much, but the regime. And I hoped, maybe I was naive, that one day the people of Iran will eject this own regime. Every day I pray for that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for talking to us. Israel se Shivangi Thakur, Zee Media.
Zee